So on your paper, we're looking at lesson 12 problem set. Gabe has already pointed out that we're talking about baseball and not basketball, but I typed basketball, so we'll deal with that. A basketball team played 32 games and lost 8. Katie was the catcher in 5/8 of the winning games and 1/4 of the losing games. All right, the first thing that I want to do in this problem is to pull out my important information. So what is the important information? Somebody give me one of them. Tiana.
A basketball team played 32 games.
Okay, so they played 32 games. That's important. What else is important? Mason. They lost 8. All right, what else? Haley.
She was the catcher in 5/8 of the games.
5/8 of the what? Of the winning games. Okay, so she was catcher in 5/8 of the winning games. All right, Brandy.
She lost 1/4 of the losing games.
She lost them? What was she in those losing games, in those 1/4 of the losing games? She was what? She was catcher. It's implied. Katie was the catcher in 5/8 of the winning games and 1/4 of the losing games. So she played catcher. That was her position, okay? In baseball, not basketball, okay? All right. What's the first question? The very first question, Danya.
It says, what fraction of the game did the team win?
What fraction of the games did the team win? Okay, notice that this first question, does it say anything at all about Katie?
No.
So for this first question, is what Katie played in important? Is it relevant? Do I need it? What do I need to answer this question then? Kaden. Say it again so I can hear. What? Okay, how can I pull in that lost 8 games? How is that lost 8 relevant to my question? Brian. Okay, now see, that's associated with Katie. And this isn't part of the fraction of the games. Katie is not relevant. Cameron.
They lost 8. When you subtract 8 from 32, the rest of it is obviously
Okay, you're correct. But it says what? Fraction. So we want to look at it in terms of fractions. So what can I do then? Randy?
divide.
Okay, divide what? What do you mean divide? Fraction is division, you're right. But what can I do? You're so close, so close. All right, Baha.
32 over 32, which equals 1 whole, minus 832, which can equal 1/4, and then you can do 1 whole.
Okay. I'm going to pause you for 1 second because I like that 8 over 32. 8 over 32 represents what? The games they lost. So they lost 8 out of the 32 games. 8 out of 32 games were lost. But the question says, what fraction of the games did they win? So if the 32 out of 32 is all the games, what can I do to figure out how many games they won? Jesselyn. Very good. I want to subtract the 32 out of 32 minus the 8 out of 32, which is the games they lost, to give me what? What is 32 minus 8? 32 minus 8. Alyssa. Okay, so then we have 24 games, or 24 out of 32 games that were won. Haley, can I simplify it?
Yes.
Is there a number that can go into both 24 and 32 evenly? Evenly. What is that number, Chrysalin?
Either it's 2 or 4. I'll say 4 because it's more easier.
Okay, 2 can, 4 can, but I want the highest one, and 4 is not the highest. Kisa? 8. 8 can go into 24. 32 can also be divided by 8. And so 24 divided by 8 is what? 3. And 32 divided by 8 is 4. So simplified, we have 3/4 of the games that were won. On your paper, make sure that your paper looks like the work on the board here. Okay, did I label my work? Yes. Brandy. Would I have accepted 24 out of 32?
Yes.
Yes. Which one do I prefer? The simplified one. I prefer 3/4. On the EQT, what's it going to be? It's going to be simplified. On the ACT Aspire, what does it try to need to be? Simplified. Okay. All right, let's look at this next one. In how many games did Katie play catcher? All right, so we have a whole other question. It wants to know how many games. So we're not talking fractions here, we're talking how many games. And now we're pulling in that information about Katie. All right, so let's go back up to the problem. What's important about Katie? Michael.
So she was the catcher in 5/8 of the winning game.
Okay, let's pause that. She was catcher in 5/8 of the winning games. 5/8 of winning games. How many games did they win?
24.
They won 24 games. Do y'all see why it was important to solve this first question correctly? They won 24 games. So now we know that we're doing 5/8 of 24. What, Tiana? No. No, we're multiplying here. You don't have to change the denominator for multiplying. All right, what's my next step? I did 5/8 of 24. Now I need to start solving it. Brooklyn. Very good. 5 times 24 over 8. Now what? Tanya.
Divide 8, 24 divided by 8, and it'll be 3 and you multiply.
Yep, pause. Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. All right, we want to simplify before we have to solve, because simplifying before we solve is easier than saying 5 times 24 and then that product divided by 8. So 24 divided by 8 is what?
3.
All right, now what am I going to do? What am I going to do next? Kiara.
You're going to multiply 5 times 3
Okay, so how many games did she play in? How many winning games did she play in?
15.
So 15 winning 15 winning games. Sorry. 15 winning games. Am I done with my answer?
No.
No, because it didn't just say how many winning games did she play. It said how many games. Dave, you writing all this down? So what do I need to do next? Amaya? Haley? She also played in 1/4 of the losing game. So we need to figure out 1/4 of the losing games. How many games were lost?
8.
In the very beginning it says they lost 8 games. So if she played in 1/4 of the losing games, then that is 1/4 of 8. Okay, I know we can probably figure that out in our head, but we need to get used to writing it out. So what's my next step? Writing it out. Next step, Michael.
1 times 8 over 4.
1 times 8 over 4 is the same thing as what? I don't want the answer yet. What's the next step? Tiana.
I'm going to multiply the 1 again.
1 times 8 is what?
8 over 4.
So we have 8 over 4. Simple. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So she played in 2 losing games. Am I done now?
No.
But you gotta add those extra games.
You have to add the 15 plus the 2. So we have 15 plus 2 is what?
17.
So 17 games total. Total played. It's not a very good restatement, but it is a restatement. Chrislyn.
I have a question. Why would you do just 24? Because the fraction was 24 over 32.
Because it was saying the winning games. And that fraction represented 24 games won out of the 32 total games played. Okay, so you wouldn't do 24 out of 32, you would just say 24 because that was how many winning games there were. Does that answer your question? In Mrs. Elliott's garden, 1/8 of the flowers are red, 1/4 of them are purple, and 1/5 of the remaining flowers are pink. If there are 128 flowers, how many flowers are pink? What's my important information? Brandy. Okay, now I'm going to pause. Is it important to know that that's Mrs. Elliott's garden?
No.
Do we really care whose garden it is?
No.
No. But what is important is what you said after that. 1/8 of the flowers are red. 1/8 of the flowers. Okay? So I have not only underlined some important information, but I have circled angrily that word of. What does of tell you to do?
Multiply.
Multiply. What are we going to multiply 1/8 by?
128.
Right now, it's just the flowers. Okay? So, I've made this information stand out. What else is important? Miguel.
1/4 of the flowers are purple.
Okay, and you even did an understood statement. You said 1/4 of the flowers, but notice that the statement says 1/4 of them. So you understood that them is the same thing as the flowers. 1/4 of the flowers are purple. What else is important? Haley. 1/5 of the what? What on earth does that mean?
There's some left over.
It's remaining. Why is that so much more important than just them or the flowers? Cameron? Is it telling you how much is left?
It's telling you how much
Brandy. Okay, it means, and yes, you're right there. You're right there on the edge of it. It means 1/5 of what is left are pink. Okay, so you have to figure out, what are two things that you have to figure out before you can even get to that pink part? Alyssa.
How many red, purple, and purple flowers there are?
You have to figure out how many red and how many purple flowers there are before you can even get to figuring out how many pink flowers there are. So when we start solving it, we are going to make sure that we have an area on our paper where we are organized. We have red, we have purple, and we have pink. So I've got 3 categories here. What problem am I going to solve to figure out how many red flowers there are? What is my problem going to look like? My expression. Michael.
1/8 of 128.
Perfect. 1/8 of 128. What is my expression going to look like for purple? Brooklyn. Perfect. 1/4 of 128. What is my expression going to look like for pink?
We don't know yet.
Oh, but you do. You know part of it. You know something that you can write down to solve it. Baha.
1/5 of the remaining.
Yes. Good. 1/5 of remaining. No, because you were kind of right. You said we don't know. We don't know how many flowers are remaining, but we do know that we're going to have to look at the remaining part, that it's 1/5 of the remaining. All right, so we're picking back up. We need to find out how many flowers are red, how many flowers are purple, and how many remaining flowers are pink. So how can I start with the red? Brooklyn. Okay, very good. We have 1 times 128 over 8. Can 128 be divided evenly by 8?
Yes. Wait.
Can it?
Yes.
Okay, so let's take a look at it. If we have 128 divided by 8, can 8 go into 1?
No.
Can 8 go into 12?
Yes.
How many times? 1 times 8 is? 12 minus 8. Bring down our 8. How many times can 8 go into 48? Okay, do I need to finish this division problem?
No.
Not really. All right, so we have 48, and then 48 times 1 is
6.
48 times 1 is what?
48.
48. So we have 48 red flowers. Am I wrong? Did I say 46?
Yeah, you said 48.
Oh, 16. My goodness. Okay. I don't know what I'm doing. All right, 16. There we go. 16 red. All right, so we have 16 red flowers. How can I figure out how many purple flowers we have? Purple, rose. Okay, perhaps, but I want to solve it using this problem. So how can I solve it using this expression? Okay, so we want to do 1 times 128 over 4. Okay? If we are dividing 128 by half of 8, then what is 128 divided by 4? Okay? So, and that's kind of what Rose was saying. She was like, well, all you have to do is double the red. And she's right. But we still need to be able to look at it as a fraction like we're solving it. So then 128 divided by 4 is 32. So there are 32 purple flowers. How can I figure out what the remaining flowers are? The remaining flowers. Brian.
You have to 16 and 32 subtract by 128.
Very good. These brains are moving today. We have 16 red. We have 32 purple. Notice I'm using my labels. And 16 plus 32 is what?
48.
48. Okay?
So there's 48 pink.
No. Is there 48 pink?
No.
No, this is 48 red
And purple.
and purple.
Oh.
But I need to find the remaining, and Brian already told me how to find the remaining. He said you add it up, and then what do you do, Brian?
Then subtract.
Subtract from what? Very good. So we had 128 flowers minus the 48 red and purple equals what?
80.
Okay, so this is 80 remaining. Is this my answer?
No.
Yes. Alright. Raise your hand if you think this is the answer.
Well, it's the answer because it said 1/5 of remaining, which is left over. It's 80 remaining, so 1/5. That's not your answer.
Okay, so 80 is not the answer. 80 gets us closer to solving the answer. We have to figure out 1/5 of the 80. 1/5 because it said 1/5 of the remaining. So if the remaining is 80, then we're doing 1/5 of 80. Now how would I lay this out as my multiplication problem? Brooklyn. One times 80 over 5. Now what? Is 80 evenly divisible by 5? Can I simplify it?
Yes.
Okay, how many times can 80 be divided by 5?
16.
Which one?
16.
16. All right, so 1 times 16 is?
16.
So how many pink flowers are there?
16.
Did I answer my question?
Yes.
Because looking back up, how many flowers are pink? There are 16 pink flowers.